So many of us are watching this election closely tonight, and joining us now to break down the very latest is political analyst Keith Leslie. Hi, Keith. After weeks of polling showing the race being too close to call, we're now seeing Republican candidate Donald Trump take the lead. Is this something you saw coming, and do you see him winning this presidency?
Well, it's a very early lead, isn't it? And of course, there's still a lot more results to come in. What we can see so far, though, is that the polls were pretty bang on. This is an extremely close race. Where we're seeing Donald Trump do the best seems to be in the rural areas. He's winning the states he was expected to win. And basically, it's coming down to those 7 battleground states that we hear so much about. And in the one in Georgia right now, Trump has a lead, a sizable lead by vote count. But he had that same sizable lead last time in 2020. And of course, remember, Georgia was the very state that he ended up begging for 11,789 votes. So even though he's in the lead right now, doesn't mean he's going to hold Georgia. But right now, Trump does seem to have a little bit of a lead over Harris overall.
So I want to ask about what this would all mean for Canada and Ontario. First, if Trump wins the presidency.
Well, if Trump wins, of course, I mean, there's just the big scare is that he's been talking nonstop about tariffs. He's going to impose tariffs on every country, including Canada. And there's other things, there's always a dispute over softwood lumber. But those tariffs, I mean, if he puts 10% tariffs on every Canadian product, the United States buys 75% of what Canada produces. That could be a 5% hit to our GDP, according to economists. And that's a huge thing. So if Trump actually wins, fiscally, it could be very, very hard on Canada and many other countries.
And Keith, what about Harris? What will happen with Canada and Ontario should she take the presidency?
Well, I think it would be a little bit easier to have a more of a business-like relationship with Harris. She's still going to push Canada on things like softwood lumber. I think is always going to be an issue of dispute between Canada and the United States. But I think Harris would be much more tolerant and business-like, whereas Trump is going to threaten us, you get a 10% tariff unless you do this or unless you do that the way he wants it to be.
And like you said, we're still in early hours for this polling. What are you watching for tonight?
Well, for the most part, we're waiting to see, can Kamala Harris build up? We know that when she gets to California and the West Coast, I mean, there's 54 electoral college votes in California. That's a huge help to her. But right now, she's so far behind. And is she, is it misogyny? Is it people staying home? Or is it Republicans? Is it people that just decided, you know what? We looked at 4 more years of Donald Trump and thought, what the heck? Let's have 4 more years of Donald Trump. So right now for Harris, it's hard to tell what's holding her back, but she's still got a lot of ground to make up, even with those guaranteed, 54 seats in California or 54 electoral college votes in California.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Keith. We're going to check back in again with you soon, just later in the newscast. That's Keith Leslie, our political analyst.